Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Is Ralf Rangnick the right appointment for Manchester United? Well, I think he is. Revert back to what I said on one of my recent videos. I think Ralf Rangnick will improve Manchester United. I think he'll get the best out of these group of players. He's also good at developing young players as well. And I think he could be capable of winning trophies at Manchester United. He's got a pretty decent pedigree behind him. When he managed Schalke, he won the German Cup with Schalke back in 2011. He also got Schalke to the Champions League semi-final. When he managed RB Leipzig, he got RB Leipzig to the final. That was back in 2019. He's been coaching for a very long time. He's the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. It said yesterday Manchester United reached an agreement with Lokomotiv Moscow for Ralf Rangnick to become the interim manager on a 6-month contract. Then he will take the consultory job for 2 years. Rangnick will not be in charge for the game against Chelsea tomorrow as he waits for his work permit, but he will be in charge for the game against Arsenal next Thursday. Manchester United will appoint a permanent manager at the end of the season. We'll get either Pochettino or Erik ten Hag. Now, this morning, I gave you the news on Erik ten Hag. It said Erik ten Hag wants the Manchester United job in the summer. Ajax will not stand in his way if he wants to leave at the end of the season. Erik ten Hag is Manchester United's alternative target. So if Man United don't get Pochettino, they'll look to get Erik ten Hag. I presume there's a lot of United fans that would take ten Hag in. You've got to admire what he's done at Ajax. You know, he's won a few trophies with them. He got Ajax to the Champions League semi-final back in 2019. He's been Ajax manager for 4 years. He's got a contract with Ajax until 2023. I like the way he develops young players as well. Before Ajax, he was at Utrecht. Before then, he managed Bayern Munich's reserve team, and before he managed Go Ahead Eagles. Now, Pochettino, he's come out and said that he's happy at PSG and won't let the Man United rumours distract him. Revert back to earlier on this week, it said PSG rejected Manchester United's approach to appoint Mauricio Pochettino. Earlier on this week, there was reports saying that Pochettino was interested in the Manchester United job, and the Manchester Evening News came out and said that Man United are confident of appointing Mauricio Pochettino as their next permanent manager. And it said Manchester United agreed to pay the 10 million compensation fee for Pochettino. Pochettino is a good manager, even though he's hardly won anything. I think he's won a cup with PSG. Pochettino's got a full season left on his PSG contract. He's proven in the Premier League, which is also beneficial because, Pochettino did endure 5.5 years at Tottenham. Analysing the vast majority of his tenure at Tottenham were competing in and out of the top four. But back in 2018, he guided Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final. He also nearly won the Premier League when he was at Tottenham. And before he managed Southampton, he only enjoyed a short tenure at Southampton, but he still managed to guide Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. So they're the clubs he's managed in the Premier League so far, and before he managed Espanyol. Revert back to when Manchester United sacked Jose Mourinho. Man United should have got Pochettino then, but the club decided to go with Solskjaer instead. Brendan Rodgers has been linked with a permanent role at Man United, but I disregarded Brendan Rodgers coming because the other week Rodgers dismissed links to the Man United job. He come out and said, that I'm proud to be at Leicester. The other week it said Brendan Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire. So that stirred some suggestions up, and at that point he said Rodgers was the favourite to replace Solskjaer. There was quite a few United fans though that said they didn't want Brendan Rodgers. Rodgers was recently contacted by Manchester United. At the moment, Michael Carrick is the interim manager. Obviously, the game tomorrow against Chelsea will be Michael Carrick's last game in charge as the interim manager, but it is his first Premier League game in charge. Michael Carrick won his first game in charge as the interim manager against Villarreal. Manchester United beat Villarreal 2-0. Reflecting on the win against Villarreal, Manchester United qualified for the last 16 of the Champions League with still a game to spare in the group stage. I give Michael Carrick a lot of credit in that game against Villarreal because I like the way he approached the game. His game plan was correct and his substitutions were correct. Obviously, Manchester United were defensive against Villarreal but still got the win and kept a clean sheet. Michael Carrick got announced as the interim manager last Sunday morning following the dismissal of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Solskjaer did get sacked last Sunday morning following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. And that 4-1 defeat to Watford was embarrassing from a Manchester United perspective. And reflecting on that defeat to Watford, Manchester United have lost 5 of their last 7 in the Premier League. As you all know, Solskjaer gave a farewell interview, and he got emotional in that farewell interview, which obviously is understandable because Solskjaer loves the club. He's been part of the club for a long time. Ole was Manchester United manager for almost 3 years, and Solskjaer was a player for Man United for 11 years, so that's almost 14 years in total. Manchester United made the right decision sacking Solskjaer, because I knew for a long time that he wasn't the long-term manager for Man United. I don't think Man United really wanted to sack him, but Man United had no choice in the end. Despite Solskjaer getting sacked last Sunday morning, Manchester United fans still all adore him, reflecting on what he's done for the club. Solskjaer is a club legend. He will always be a club legend. You know, Manchester United paid Solskjaer around $7.5 million. Because revert back to last summer, Ollie signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Manchester United should have never give him that contract. But reflecting on the poor performances under Solskjaer, not all of the blame stemmed from Ollie. Yes, he was partly to blame because obviously his tactics and his team selections were questioned a lot, but there was also players that had to take responsibility for those poor performances as well. You know, the club Solskjaer has managed in his managerial career, obviously he's managed the Man United reserve team for a couple of years. He also managed Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was terrible. He only enjoyed a short tenure with Cardiff. He got sacked from Cardiff, didn't he, because he got them relegated. Ollie enjoyed 2 spells at Mulder. He won a few Norwegian titles at Mulder, but they're not a big club. And of course, he managed Manchester United's senior squad. Ollie has no proven pedigree as a manager, does he? By the way, Solskjaer is taking a break now from management after being sacked by Manchester United last Sunday morning. You know, this season was Ollie's 3rd full season as United manager, and I did say at the start of this season that this season was going to be massive for him. You know, Solskjaer did not win a trophy when he was United manager, and I said he was never capable of winning trophies as manager. Man United have not won a trophy since 2017. You know, the expectations were far too high for Ollie to exceed as United manager, and he was in a position that he shouldn't have really been in. But the pressure was on him at the start of this season, you know, reflecting on the summer transfer window Manchester United had. You know, Man United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year. Spent around 141 million, you know, made 4 signings. 3 of the 4 signings were major signings. And plus, revert back to last summer, Solskjaer got very good backing from the board. You know, the Glazers backed him, Ed Woodward backed him, John Murtaugh, our director of football, backed him, and Darren Fletcher backed him. So reflecting on that, you know, Solskjaer ran out of excuses. Solskjaer enjoyed like 5 transfer windows when he was United manager. Ollie knew though when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job. Not only a massive job, a difficult job as well. Because Ollie was managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. You know, Solskjaer did get appointed in as the caretaker manager back in December 2018. You know, he did well in his first 3 months as the caretaker manager, so reflecting on that, the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. You know, Man United spent over £400 million under Ollie, and you know, when Solskjaer was United manager, he signed 14 players. On the other side of things, he got rid of a lot of players when he was United manager. He loaned players out and he got rid of a lot of players permanently. And let's put into the equation as well, when Ollie was United manager, he was inheriting players who other managers brought in. Obviously, you've still got Jones and De Gea from the Ferguson era. You know, Matters here still from the Moyes era. There's still some players here from the Van Gaal era, but not many. And there's still quite a few players here from the Jose Mourinho era. Ollie was the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson. Because since Ferguson, Manchester United sacked David Moyes after 10 months. We finished 7th under the Moyes era. Moyes is one of the worst managers we've ever had. Then, of course, Man United sacked Louis van Gaal. After 2 years or so, Man United did win the FA Cup under Louis van Gaal. Then Manchester United sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United because Mourinho won 3 trophies in his first season. But the reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the top players. The board didn't recommend the players that Mourinho wanted to recommend in, so reflecting on that, Mourinho had bad disputes with the board. So there you go. And of course Solskjaer, he got sacked last Sunday morning. Manchester United have not been the same team since Ferguson retired. And a lot of United fans predicted it was all going to go wrong when Ferguson retired, which obviously it has done. No one will replicate what Ferguson did at Man United. Ferguson won 30 odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. So reflecting on that, he brought success to the club, didn't he? But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. Don't forget, he was on the brink of getting the sack. Good job he didn't, or wouldn't have had any success now. Ferguson was also a very long-serving manager. He endured around 26 years at Manchester United. Man United must have spent over £1 billion since Ferguson retired, and we must have brought a good 40 odd players in as well. Manchester United are going to offload players next year. Dean Henderson, he wants to go out on loan. Dean Henderson doesn't get in goal now because obviously De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back last summer. Henderson's only been in goal for 1 game so far this season. That was West Ham in the Carabao Cup. At one point, Henderson was out with COVID for a while. But at one point last season, Henderson got that number 1 jersey. And he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. Before the start of last season, Henderson signed a 6-year contract with Man United, so reflecting on that, he committed his future to the club. Henderson's got that experience behind him because he endured 2 successful loans with Sheffield. He's also had other loan spells before. Dalot, I think he's also... I think Dalot will go next year because Dalot doesn't really get in the team. Dalot will only play when Pasaka is not available. Dalot is our backup right back to Pasaka. Last season Dalot had a loan spell with AC Milan, so reflecting on that, he gained some experience. We paid around £19 million for Dalot from Porto. Around 3 years ago. Dalot's got a contract with Man United till 2023. Eric Bailly, I think he's leaving next year because Bailly doesn't get regular game time, does he? Bailly's only made 3 appearances so far this season. Bailly played in the 2-0 defeat to City. He was very poor in that game. City's first goal came from an own goal from Bailly, but it wasn't only the own goal, it was just his overall performance. It was terrible. I was shocked in that aspect because Bailly played well against Atalanta. That was the 2-2 game. He also played well against West Ham in the Cup earlier on this season. Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago, obviously with the signing of Varane in the summer transfer window, and obviously Lindelof's been preferred to Bailly. He's injury prone, Bailly, which is a concern. Towards the end of last season, Bailly signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. He's been at Man United for 5.5 years now. Got him for 30 million from Villarreal back in 2016. Phil Jones, I think he's also leaving the club next year. Jones doesn't get in the team, does he? Jones has always been inconsistent anyway. At one point, Jones was out with a knee injury for a while. Did you know Jones is the only outfield player that's still with us from the Ferguson era? He's been a long-serving player at the club though. This season is his 11th season at Man United. I think there's a good chance that Tellez will leave next year because Tellez doesn't really get in the team. Tellez only plays when Luke Shaw's not available. Revert back to what I've mentioned before. Tellez though played against Villarreal and he put a very, very good performance out. In some of the games he's been involved in, he's been consistent. Tellez could be in contention to play tomorrow against Chelsea. Depends if Luke Shaw's fit or not. Earlier on this season, Tellez was out with injury, wasn't he? The reason we brought Tellez in was to provide competition for Shaw. Man United got Tellez for 15.4 million. Alright. Yeah, 15.4 million. I think Pogba, he could be leaving next year. Revert back to earlier on this season, it said Man United are prepared to sell Paul Pogba in the January transfer window. Well, it makes sense to cash in for him in January rather than let him go on a free next summer. Pogba may never play for the club again. Pogba is out for the rest of the year with a thigh injury. He suffered the thigh injury in France training earlier on this season. He's out for the rest of 2021. Matic, I think he's also going next year. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities, and surprisingly enough, he's been ahead of Van der Beek in our midfield. Matic is the only predominant centre defensive mid we've got. I've always had my strong reservations about Matic. He's always been a static, midfielder, and plus he's ageing up and that, but he has had his good games at United. Matic has been at Man United for 4.5 years now, is it? We got him from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million. Van der Beek, he could be leaving in January. But if he's to get his opportunities, what he's been demanding from now on, that could persuade Van der Beek to stay. Towards the end of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure, Van der Beek did confirm that he wants to leave Manchester United in January. Van der Beek started in that number 10 ahead of Fernandes in the 2-0 win against Villarreal, and he put a good performance out. Van der Beek made an instant impact when he came on in the 4-1 defeat to Watford. He scored. That was only his second goal for the club. Van der Beek's been at Manchester United for over 1.5 years now. This season is his second full season at the club. Man United got Van der Beek for 40 million with add-ons included. He's got a contract with the club till 2025. There's an option of a further year, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Lingard, I think he's leaving next year. Revert back to the other week. He said Jesse Lingard's future at Man United was in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. Lingard's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Earlier on in the season, it said Lingard could leave Man United for just £10 million. Lingard doesn't get in the team, you know, he's only made one start this season, that was West Ham in the Carabao Cup. Lingard though has been part of Manchester United for a long time, hasn't he? You know, risen up our academy, and that he's had his good periods at Man United, he's also had his bad periods. I'm hearing as well West Ham want to re-sign him. Well, at the second half of last season, Lingard enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact, didn't he? And I heard as well that Lingard wants to go abroad. And I think Mata, Martial and Cavani are leaving the club next year. So there you go. And you know, you've got very, very good players at Manchester United. So I'm hoping, you know, when Ralf Rangnick is official, we start to get the best out of these group of players. You know, we won't getting the best out of the players, were we, in the last couple of months or 3 months of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure. Obviously, in the end, the players didn't want Solskjaer there, did they? But they'll galvanise themselves under a new manager. You know, look who we've got. We've got the best player in the world overall in Ronaldo. You've got Mason Greenwood, that's a talented player. You've got Rashford, that's a good player. You've got Fernandes, that's a world-class player. He has, though, had his poor games this season. You've got Cavani, that's a good player. But he initially lost his place in the team with us re-signing Ronaldo. You've got Sancho, that's a good player as well. He has been poor in a lot of games. He's played in for Man United. But obviously, under Ole, you know, Sancho was obviously played out of position. But hopefully from now on we'll start to get the best out of Sancho. You know, Sancho put a very good performance out in the 2-0 win against Villarreal. You know, he scored his first goal for the club. And you know, you've got Donny van der Beek, that's a good player as well. And hopefully he'll get his opportunities from now on. You've got Pogba, that's also good as well. You've got Luke Shaw, that's a good left back, but Luke Shaw's been very, very poor this season. I'm shocked in that aspect because I thought last season Luke Shaw was absolutely superb. And you know, you've got Maguire, that's good when he wants to be, but hasn't really proven how good he can be at Man United. And he's been terrible this season, and he's been even worse since he came back from that calf injury. Maguire is suspended at the moment. I think he's got a 3-match ban because he got sent off in the 4-1 defeat to Watford. And you've got Bailly, that's a very good centre-half as well. You know, you've got Bissaka, that's good defensively, but the attacking side of his game is not so good. These aspects of Wan-Bissaka's game that's got to improve. And you've also got David De Gea, that's a very, very good goalkeeper. So there you go. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.